Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good evening. Unlike Dr. Hatta, I went back to change. We finished Majlis President Pakatan quite late. And I have a parental duty to pick up my wife and son. And I don't have stash of cash under my bed to pay. Najib has just changed the roads over here. So saya sampai Sungai Buloh tadi. But yeah, I'm here. And it's good to see so many people. It's good to see people, as I suppose, as committed, as fired up to fix perhaps one of the biggest problems in the country, which is the election itself. I know Maria could have spoken a lot about how to protest and so on and so forth. I would like to share with you something even more interesting, because you can protest directly to Najib now. You don't have to wait 48 hours of court. I tell you, is it today Najib launched his Najib Razak apps. You can go there and you can basically submit your feedback and complaint straight away. So I just snapped your photo and submitted to him. See, this is how many people. I'm going to have fun playing around with the apps for the next few. I think they will just shut down the apps within a week. We are now on stealing. There has become some sort of specialty, not just on election, but lots of cash as far as Najib is concerned. The part that I want to expand further is that while we are very focused about the 48 hours deadline and the processes that we have to go through, because they intend to steal the election in living daylight and they make no secret about it. The bigger problem for us, actually, the stealing actually has happened throughout the process, throughout the whole long route of election, how election is being managed and done in Malaysia, and not just redelineation. Because the stealing happens as early as the registration is concerned. And then stealing happens when, even after you have registered, you may vote the last election, and then you go today and you find out you're no longer on the roll. And you're still alive when people who are dead are there and you're not there. That also means I don't think they really clean up the roll. I got to know Papa Gomo's identity precisely from the electoral roll, because he appears on both the normal roll in Bukit Antarabangsa. He also appeared as postal voters as a policeman in Ampang, I think, somewhere in a different one. So if there's one Papa Gomo, I'm sure there are millions Papa Gomo around, you know. So the issue of cleaning up the roll is as serious as redelineation. And then, of course, they do the redelineation. And then throughout the campaigning period, the conduct of SPR itself, the manner that it plays the referee to allow different parties to campaign, it all are lopsided to make sure that BN stays in perpetuity. On the day itself, of course, so many things. I've had my own experience where my Pacha had to actually tear apart the Form 14, because if you don't stand up to them, they would just take it and they just ask, okay, and without sign, they just take it. There are many places around the country where the head of the tempat mengundi refused to give the Form 14 to our agents, which means that we cannot contest the result, because unless you have the signed Form 14, which is the final form with tallied number, their words is gospel, and we can't protest. In 2013, for example, there was the biggest discrepancy was in Pasir Sala, because we nearly won in Pasir Salah in 2008. Pasir Salah is represented by that Tajuddin Rahman, the really vile minister, So we thought that in 2013, in 2013, we could have won. Instead, we lost even worse. I think from 1,000, we lost about 5 or 6, So when I went through the results and start calling the agents, okay, this is where indirect cheating also happened. So I asked our agents, why didn't you demand to get the form? Because we need those forms, The answer is that the ketua tempat mengundi used to be my headmaster. I dare not go. So this highlights, all the practical issues which, if you are in the business of planning and executing election campaigns, then you realize throughout, at any process, at any one junction, SPR has every opportunity to skew the result and the process so that we lose. Now that sounds very hopeless, I think. The good news is this. The good news is gerrymandering actually was not invented by BN or Najib. Gerrymandering was actually invented by the Americans, hence the name gerrymandering. And lo and behold, gerrymandering is as bad as ours. Yeah. I'm sure, those BN minister after this will quote me and say, see, in America it's even worse. Rafizi said, in America it's even worse. Actually, it is as bad, Lately, I've spent more time learning how election is done and how you fight all these frauds all over the place. I discovered, for example, in Texas, this is interesting. In the US, they don't have ID card, they don't have IC, so you use different IDs to go to vote, yeah? So in Texas, and because Texas is controlled by Republicans, the state, and the state decides what kind of ID is allowed to be used for voting. Now, George Bush state basically decides that National Rifle Association membership card is acceptable as ID, but university ID card is not. So that basically rules out those Democrat supporters who basically are quite educated, who goes to university and so on, and all these gung-ho shooting guys, basically they all can bring their NRA. So I asked the question to, colleagues who've been working with us and said, then how do you go about it? Well, apparently there are ways. There are ways where you can analyze and you can basically model, you can single out, which ones are more prone to cheating than others. That's why in the US, for example, no matter how gerrymandering has happened here and there, you lose some, you gain some, but it does not distort the election so much so like what happens here. Now, the reason I mention that is this. It is important for everyone here and outside and everyone in the country to know that no matter how much they cheat, we will still win. They have to know that. They have, and that's been proven anywhere else. Because the most dangerous thing that can happen to this country is because of bits and pieces of cheating, redenomination, they deny you this and that, we stop fighting, then we will lose. Because all these are so complex and it involves very detailed and minute information that none of us before this bothered to look at. And that's how they get away for 50 years. Because nobody actually bothered to check. But the moment, and with technology, it's very easy to do that. The moment you go through line by line, numbers by numbers, you check taman by taman, and more people are aware, and more people actually take part to stop this throughout the process, and not just at redenomination or on the day itself. then the room for them to cheat gets smaller and smaller and smaller, because they can only cheat and get away with it when we sleep on the job, when we as a citizen sleep on the job. So that is very important to know, that as much as it sounds humongous and as much as it sounds rather hopeless, actually there is every opportunity for us to turn this around and to stop it. Is a matter of time. The only problem is this cannot be done by Maria, this cannot be done by Hatta, this cannot be done by Chingwat, this cannot be done, I don't want to do it, This has to be done by as many Malaysians as possible. It has to be a civic duty of as many Malaysians as possible. And this is where it is also important for me to answer the questions that Maria and the team will increasingly have to face now that we get closer and closer to Bersih. People will ask, okay, we've gone down 4 times, we've coloured the whole thing, we've done everything. Well, he's still there. In fact, I don't know, over the last 1 week, reporters have been working. I know that international reporters have been trying to understand how is it that in spite of everything, Najib is still there with his cat, And now he has an app to show off, It's, internationally, people just can't understand that. After all, he's still there. This is where I think it is important, and I want to spend the next 5 or 10 minutes just on that. It is important to know that I don't think we have done enough as citizens. I'm sorry. People may not like what I say, but yes, compared to the experience of other countries in managing this and in combating this, I don't think we have done enough. What we have done in the last decade or so is that, yes, we went down for Bersih. When there was Facebook, yes, we changed our profile picture. It became yellow or black or whatever. Before that and after that, we have not managed to tap that anger, energy, concern into something actionable to check them on the ground. Because the detail on the ground that matters is not really that 1 or 2 or 3 days. Those are manifestations of how many people in this country supports the cause for free and fair election. But it by itself is not going to deliver us, because they have gotten away for 50 years. And they get better at it because they know after 3 Bersih, by the time the 4th Bersih, all they need to do is just don't hit us. And therefore the emotions after that runs low, and then people go back. If they hit us, and then we'll fight back. And I think they will just allow whatever we need to do, and they will just go, and they will hope that it will just dissipate. That is where it is very important that as many people as possible come forward, offer your time and resources and whatever you have at your disposal. You don't have to be Maria or Dr. Hatta. I hope dia tak koyak baju Dr. Hatta this time around. You don't have to be full-time. You can offer 1 hour of your time, 2 hours of your time, 5 hours of your time a week. But we need as many people as possible, for example, to go through line by line. As many people, for example, to call up perhaps when you match different constituencies, you may find people with the same number and quite close. You may want to check. After this, when calls for people who are dropped out from previous electoral roll, people will come forward and register. We need to follow up this and not just allow it to be just news, and then after all, lo and behold, come the election, they still cannot vote. And most importantly, for example, this is the part where I want to concentrate a bit more, is that, mark my word, they will disqualify, as good as disqualify, the 4 million young voters who have not registered, even if they have registered. Because they have done that before in 1999. For us to sit down and expect for them to behave differently is our own mistake. You must expect SPR will find any excuses and do whatever that no matter how many people we try to register now, come the election, they will say, oh, sorry, we don't have enough people to mark the paper, and therefore these 4 million have not been into the voting roll. All these are disasters staring at us. So the issue is, what do we do about it? I feel sometimes there are just not enough people to focus, because it has to be at different areas and different process. A specific and specialized group have to look at it. You need a server for that, for example. You need maths. Actually, you can model mathematically in order to find out statistically which one is most prone to cheating. You can do it, because that's how everyone else have done it. So these are all steps that we have to take that will allow us run faster and to get around the cheating that they have done for 50 years, because trust me, they are not that smart. They're not that smart. And I have no doubt that if only many people put our minds together and do this in a manner that they don't expect or is beyond their reach, then I think we may just pull it off. Okay, yeah? Now, do we have to do it for the whole country? No. I don't think you should even go and help Tony Pua. Leave him alone. You know? Even my constituency, I think okay lah. If people want to go, fine. We only need about 30 marginal seats. We need to win 30 marginal seats. Why are they called marginal seats? Because BN won the seats with more or less 2,000 or 5% margin. These seats become marginal because there were enough swing voters there who will decide either way come election. And therefore, the efforts by right should just be focused on these marginal voters in these 30 plus seats, which means we are basically focusing on less than 100,000 voters. That's all. It can be done if we have 1,000 plus here, multiply that. Yeah, if 400,000 people come to Bersih, if only 10% of that, 40,000 people say, I commit myself to this cause and I will go beyond just attending Bersih, I will take care one swing voter from one constituency, we will win. And that's why this project is beyond a single party, a single group, a single person, a single leader. It has to be owned by everyone. And I refuse to accept that they will get away with cheating forever. I refuse to accept that. And usually, you can cheat once, twice, 3, 4 times, you will be caught. It's the same as well. So I think I think a lot of us are working on different things. I work mostly on getting more young people to register. There are 4 million of them. Studies so far, no matter how you do it, whether they are Malays or not, Chinese, Indian, Iban, Siam, doesn't matter. Chances are when they are young, they have the inclination to hate Najib. I don't know why. I can't explain that, Chances are. So actually, getting them to be registered is very important. But it's not enough to just sign them up. It is also important to basically make sure that they will be added up to the roll. Because what they will do is that they will just sit on it, comes election, nothing will happen, and they will say, oh, tough lah, we took 7 months actually to do everything because you all comes and register at one go and therefore you won't vote. In 1999, those 600,000 people missed changing government because Mahathir lost 300,000 votes and if only... Oh, Mahathir, sorry, BN. Yeah. So, if only, for example, BN lost another 200,000, we would have won. And there were 600,000 first-time voters who were not allowed to vote. So same this time. All I ask is that after Bersih and after this redenomination, don't take your focus off this thing. In fact, my advice is this, and the time is up here, my advice is this. Don't bother too much about 1MDB or the rest. Yeah. And this is my critique of middle class. Sometimes, because we understand 1MDB, we had fun making fun of Najib. It is not going to change much unless that translates into actions on the ground. As far as Malaysians are concerned, even penarik beca in Terengganu knows Najib stole the money. They all know. The problem is, a lot of people outside the middle class, actually to them, okay, done deal, I know they steal, but what about me? How is that going to affect me? My life is the same. And therefore, while we have made our point and basically Najib has one big deficit as far as image and credibility is concerned, we need to make sure that he doesn't get away with 1MDB because we got too excited with 1MDB that we took our eyes off this electoral reform. Because after Bersih, we need to transfer and convert your support and attendance for Bersih into thousands and thousands of people who volunteer during the weekend, at night, during, well, if you can devote more weeks or months to basically go through these very rigorous and tedious steps in order to go through one by one so that we hold them accountable. And if we do that, I'm quite sure we won't have Najib's apps within a year. I'm sure. So thank you very much. Let's carry out this process step by step. We have 48 hours for the protest, and then we have about 3 weeks for Bersih 5. And then after that, it shouldn't stop here. We should move, concentrate on registering, concentrate on making sure that SPR cannot give excuse they take 5 to 6 months to put people on the roll. It has to be at least, at most, to me, at most 1 week, for example. Keep on pressing this, and then they have to basically concede one by one. If only you put an eye on every section of the process, focus on it, and then you close the loophole one by one, the probability that they can cheat on the day from perhaps 50%, we might be able to reduce it to maybe 20% or so. And by then, I think Najib is off somewhere on his flight because I don't think he can survive if he can do that. Thank you very much. I see you again at Bersih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.